Alright guys, just a short one. Right, Yah wants you to know that the line of Seth is the genetic line made in the image of God. The older brother Cain, the murderer in the story where Eve is raped by Satan and then brings forth Cain. And that is what differentiates between a human being and an animal. These diseases that are made from animal viruses do not affect men and women made in the image of God, because we cannot contract from an animal. The danger is that they will use this by giving you a common cold, for example, and then the right to quarantine you in a FEMA camp, and there the guillotine. Just, you know, all those thousands of trains that were ordered and stored in Montana over the years. If you think this is not reality, how many people died in World War I? Christians fighting Christians. And there was possibly 100 million with vaccinations for the Spanish flu, a 6-week incubation, and by that time the returning soldiers are back in their own nations. In Australia there were many people with the Spanish flu, but Yah says both my grandmothers were looking after streets of people sickened and laying in their beds. These two women were regarded as being saints, and of the 20 or so children between them, they did not suffer any flu symptoms that would have been the prelude to the Spanish flu. And this is why Seth lived 912 years, and all of the patriarchs had an average lifespan of 912 years, and is why all of their names have a Hebrew gematria value of 3168, Lord Jesus Christ in Greek gematria. And as Yah says, why I was born and weighed 9 pounds 12 ounces. Now, to make colloidal silver, we have done this before, and many of you have been diligent to pass the video around of Yah showing you how to do it. But to make colloidal silver, 2 pieces of silver wire or 2 silver dollars or any form of, when we were in Egypt, we got an ounce of silver. It's in the size of an ingot, rectangular form. However, 2 pieces of silver, put a positive red wire. They have a little alligator clip it onto one of the coins or the wires or whatever that you're using that is silver. That's the red, that's the positive. And then the black negative wire on the other. Place both in your water container that's been filled with water, glass water container, about 2 inches apart. And then apply your energy source, which can be a 9-volt battery or a transformer that you can buy cheaply from Walmart. Plug into the wall. The silver is ripped as grey smoke off the red positive charge. Let it rip for about 30 minutes, depending on the size of the glass container. Don't worry if you go over longer, it doesn't matter. That'll just make it more concentrated. And Yah says, yes, you can even use the charge from your car battery if needed. Now, if you don't have 2 pieces of silver, 1 piece of silver connected to the red positive, and you can, we've done this many times, use a stainless steel spoon, for example, bend it in a U shape so it will sit on the edge of the glass, and then you can attach it to the black alligator clip, or you can use a piece of copper wire or another piece of stainless steel, anything that is metallic, preferably stainless steel or copper. That if you don't have 2 pieces of silver, attach that to the negative and it will pull off, rip off the grey smoke like silver and float around in the water. Now, calcium hypochlorite, as we've told you many times, you can buy from any pool store or hardware store that has a pool section. I get ours from Bunnings here. There's Home Depot in North America. There's also Canadian Tire. And then you can buy bottles of empty capsules from a drugstore. So it really doesn't matter the size of the capsule. When I went to buy the latest bottle, there's only one size they had, and it's a 00, which is twice the size of what we usually get, which is a size 0 capsule. A size 0 capsule will hold 500 milligrams. A double 0 will hold twice that, almost a gram. So with whatever capsule you have, we usually fill it like half or less if it's a bigger size capsule. Take that first with a couple of glasses of water. It's the mixing with the water that you take that gets the calcium hypochlorite into your system and killing these things as they encounter them. My daughter made the mistake of taking it and then not drinking any water. Although I had this very long conversation with her, she still hasn't recovered from the sick. I mean, but that was so dumb. I couldn't believe it. A glass of water, and then if you're feeling a bit disturbed, because it begins to go to work within about 10 to 15 minutes in your stomach, another glass of water after that. Most people don't feel anything, even if you, but if you are sick and it is killing toxins as it works, you may end up vomiting. That is not to be a concern. You know, better out than in. Just drink more water and wait a few hours and take another one, perhaps a smaller amount. Better to keep it in you than to vomit it out, that kind of thing. But it reduces to salt and water and is flushed out of your system, and it becomes your immune system. It converts to hypochlorous acid. Don't be concerned by the warnings of poison and chlorine on the packets. Calcium hypochlorite is a mineral, and in Australia we can buy 70% or 700 grams of 1,000 grams is the calcium hypochlorite. The other 300 grams or 30% is limestone, crushed limestone, which is used in water purification as well.
You can also drink it.
Yes, you can drink it. I mean, if you can't swallow a capsule, or you just don't have a capsule, even if you empty, you know, vitamin C capsule or something, empty it of the vitamin C, put the calcium hypochlorite in. If you haven't got that, you could put some in water and drink it. But it tastes disgusting, as you can imagine. So, and you'll notice the difference after the first capsule. Just keep taking them a couple of hours apart until all the symptoms of whatever it is that you have is gone. This can be used just to keep you healthy. Doesn't have to be identified. Just start feeling off, take some calcium hypochlorite. Here we go. This is from Australian Bunnings. The price has gone up to $21 for 2 kilograms, which is what we have. I did buy a smaller packet of 500 grams for $7 from Bunnings. And there's the Canadian Tire. It's called Aquarius Pool Shock. It is 65% calcium hypochlorite, and that's what my daughter. I didn't take any water, Mum. Oh. Anyway, she's still alive. That was about 2 years ago. She just hasn't taken it since. All right, and here is we have Chemist Warehouse in Australia. I bought this 100 size 00. You can see here it holds 0.91 mil capacity, so that's quite large. That's almost double of the size 0 that we normally get. And I have filled that capsule there in the front with the calcium hypochlorite. You can see there 700 grams out of 1 kilogram present as calcium hypochlorite used for shock treatment. So think of your body as a swimming pool. It is mostly water. Now, Yara and I did something else in Fiji. We had the Robert Beck wrist pulsar, but they are expensive. They're something like $250 now. The ones we had and used were discontinued stock, and so I was able to get them for about what, $25 each, and you got 50 of them, didn't you, at the time? However, we made our own. Says I built a machine that could simulate the Robert C. Beck wrist pulsar using 2 pieces of sponge, you know, from the supermarket, sponge for using out in the sink, and a needle inserted in each of the 2 pieces, and he he cut the sponges into smaller pieces, that you don't have to use big pieces, just a small piece off the sponge, and then insert the needles into the two pieces, and then threaded through the needles a few strands of copper. When he says wireless wire,
speaker wire.
Yeah, right. Okay. And several batteries, 9-volt batteries, joined together in series. 9-volt batteries times 4 gives you a total of 36 volts. And to take a wire to the positive, so to take a wire to the positive charge, you need, say, 2 meters long, and the other side goes to the negative of the battery, to the other needle. The two sponges are placed on the inner side of your wrist and held on with an elastic band or some kind of something to hold it gently, not to depress the sponge, but just hold it gently into the position, and then dampen the two sponges with salt water. Salt water is a good conductor, and switch on the 36 volts, and with one finger start depressing the positive side of the sponge, as pressing down in a tapping motion, and you're simulating the Beck pulsar motion, the 4 Hertz pulse. You're simulating it, and you'll as you press down, you'll feel the passing of the DC current, which will kill all of the germs and pathogens and viruses in the bloodstream. And so Yah has done a drawing.
So what we got is 2 pieces of sponge about 3 inches long, possibly 3/4 of an inch to an inch square, and you put the needle in a little bit off centre. Therefore you can turn the needle over, or to turn the whole cube over to get the needle closer to the skin if necessary, or further apart. And what I've just drawn there is a red positive and a blue negative for all batteries. When you see 9-volt batteries, you'll see the one cup of the positive will hook onto the negative of the next one. So you put 4 together. It's quite easy to do, takes a couple of seconds, and you've got yourself 36 volts DC. So when you put these on your wrist, do it on the inside, on the palm side, and put a bit of string around it, or a bit of cloth, or elastic band, or something like that, just to hold it in position. You can put plaster on if you want. And then you press the red positive side, and as you push the needle into the sponge, or the sponge is being compressed, the distance to the skin is less, and therefore the voltage will overcome that distance, the resistance, and give you a bit of a pulse. So if you just feel it, that's fine. If you want to press it harder, like most people do, you can get a real good jolt out of it. But either way, it'll do the job. So it kills all germs, pathogen, viruses. Now Robert Beck invented this, and they started making them. A company in Canada, now it's charging $250 US a piece. So that's for Robert C. Beck crystallology.
So this is the principle of it, and it's just an easy do-it-yourself. And
well, see what he did. He had it all done by electronics, so it would pulse automatically, and it was fine. But it doesn't have to be automatic. You just do it with your finger.
Right.
So do it once a second or twice a second, whatever you like. Doesn't matter, as long as you can feel it. So we get 8 done at a time that way. And we had switches on it and lights on it and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Brings back memories. Actually, we were thinking about that, a Fool on the Hill.
Yeah.
That was our time at Moo Moo, and yeah, interesting. And I apologise, I didn't edit Yah's image. This is an image here. So, Killes or Patha.
Did you stop it?
All good. Anyway, guys, just simple, and lots of vitamin C, essential oils, tea tree oil. These things are very powerful antivirals. Tea tree oil kills staph, it kills strep, it kills everything. Have these things in your arsenal to keep you and your family well. And yeah, do your research online, and any kind of essential oils that you can get, have them in your...
Where did you say to put it?
What's that?
All these little goodies.
What do you mean? Essential oils?
You said you were going to put them somewhere.
Put what where?
All those things, you said put them in your...
Oh, in your arsenal.
Aha!
have in your arsenal.
Arsenal?
Arsenal. Anyway, you know what I mean. So with
All
that...
right, so that'll cure you of anything.
All
you
right.
can also use ozone. We've done that before. Matter of fact, the little children in New Guinea, we use a syrup mixed with water and ozonated, so it's got sugar in it, so big deal.
Oh, it was the cordial.
Cordial, still
Cordial.
sugar.
Mm.
So the children would drink it, not knowing it's good for them, right? We had one little boy that looked like he'd been beaten, and I sort of tricked him into leaving it close to where he was, and his mother was drinking it and I was drinking it. And finally he snuck up and had a sip, and his face immediately went back to normal.
Yeah, he ended up drinking a glass of it, and he was all swollen from whatever, we don't know, but the swelling just vanished before our eyes. Now, I want to tell you something. Sugar will prevent a fever from going away. I think I released that information, might have been on the other channel, whatever, but don't have sugar. White sugar, get it out of your diets. It's called white death for a reason, and it also prevents a fever from doing its work. A fever will kill whatever's trying to invade the body, and by taking these syrups and things, acetaminophen syrups and things which are filled with sugar.
But the point is, you're going on a bit about sugar, that little boy wouldn't drink it. Children won't drink it because it tastes
I
like
understand that, but I understand that. That's with the silver water. That's a completely different thing than having a fever which needs to burn.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah, right, and then taking a sugar syrup which just shuts the fever down so it can't do its work. Anyway, with that later occasion.
Anyhow.
No. No.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Bye.